When I think about popular night vision gadgets for Airsoft, the Prowl by Nightfox is one of the first products I remember. It delivered high-latency digital performance with a lot of useful features, while keeping the price point low enough to get some good reputation among the Airsoft community, I think. My personal problem about this: I'm not really a nighttime Airsoft player, so I was not able to benefit a lot from this device actually. Fortunately, Nightfox recently have added a thermal vision gadget to their product range and asked me if I would like to test it for you. So let's check out together what's inside the box, what the main features of the new device are, and if you really benefit from using it during an actual Airsoft game day. Welcome to this review of the Nighfox Arctic Thermal Vision Gadget. Before we begin, here's a quick shout out to Bex from Nightfox, who was so kind to have sent me the new Arctic thermal device right before the release day, so I can get a detailed, closer look on it for you. As you are used to from watching my videos, I will tell you my authentic thoughts on it, no matter if the verdict will be positive or negative in the end. So, the first thing I would like to highlight is something I actually never highlighted before. This product really comes with a valuable, well-translated and detailed user manual. The texts are written straightforward, both in German and English, the only languages I can comment on, and you really learn how the device works. As this is my first real thermal device, this is all quite new stuff for me. You also see from the used pictures, for example, this device was really developed with Airsoft players in mind. The graphics do show Airsoft players as far as I can tell, so I take this as a nice introduction to the product. When opening the useful protective box, we find a bunch of accessories inside. Most of them are dedicated for head mounting, as the Arctic is meant to be worn with a helmet or the included head strap. You also get a charging cable, a wristband and this quite handy quick start guide to assist you during the first hours of using the Arctic. Now, let's check out what this thermal device is all about. Getting your hands on the Arctic for the first time, you will notice the pleasing, slightly rough finish on the surface and the not so small dimensions of the device. It's not particularly compact, but feels sturdy and leaves a trustworthy first impression. Both charging and microSD card port are hidden behind a protective, Rubbermaid cover. I like Nightfox adds a 32GB microSD card, which comes pre-installed in the gadget, so you don't have to buy one extra. Also cool, the design features a classic 18650 type battery as a power source, which are common in many other devices such as cameras or micro tools. According to Nightfox, you can expect a runtime of up to 9 hours. Very impressive. Keep in mind, the Arctic is not an actual camera as you know it from your smartphone or similar. The small sensor in the front receives heat radiation in the infrared spectrum and converts it to a visible image you can see on the screen with your naked eye. As a part of its nature, the sensor cannot see through window glass, and therefore it also cannot be protected by transparent acrylic plastic, for example. Attaching a small protector of this kind would basically blind the sensor. But what could work is to install a 3D printed kill flash, for example, covering the sensor from BB impact. The Arctic is equipped with 6 topside buttons: power on, mode selection, change of color filter, adjusting the digital zoom level, refresh the image manually and start the recording function. Don't worry, you will remember where which function sits after a quick learning period. It took me only a few hours and works quite reliably for me now. The weight of the unit, of course, is a critical aspect when it comes to comfort and usability during an Airsoft game. And this is where the Arctic really shines. Despite its form factor, it actually is really lightweight. With only 290 grams, it is a lot more lightweight than it looks, if you ask me. Even combined with a metal Wilcox mount replica, It weighs only 471 grams, which should be no problem for a well-balanced helmet setup. Time to turn the Arctic on for the first time. I must say, I really like the AMOLED display they used here. Although the resolution of 410 x 502 pixels sounds to be very low compared to modern standards, you won't really notice because the screen is so close to your eye. What the unit does is basically showing temperature levels, always in direct relation to each other. There are no static values like 10 degrees Celsius is color white and 20 degrees Celsius is color red. It's much more like an adaptive system that will permanently reinterpret what's the hottest and what's the coldest part of the scanned area. In the settings mode, you will be able to adjust several options you see here. I don't explain every function in detail here in order to keep the video time in reasonable limits. If you have any questions concerning this, tell me in the comments and I'd be glad to help. Let me quickly show you the different color modes you can choose from. What you see here is my reflection in the kitchen window. You see the heat radiation reflects from the glass, so you clearly see the shape of my body. The Arctic offers the following presets: Rainbow, Iron Red, White Hot, Black Hot, and my personal favorite, Tint. Now it's time to go outside and see if I will be able to hide from the Arctic in the dark of the night. You see, even in the cold night at about 5 degrees Celsius, the Arctic detects minimal temperature differences. For example, the reddish trees in the background are a little warmer compared to the grass, which is displayed black. As soon as I enter the picture, the detected temperature difference gets way larger, so the background turns white, while I am glowing red like a fire truck. Also, when hiding in the bushes, it's still easy to see where I am. The distance to the Arctic is about 10 meters in this example. Very impressive! After going prone on the ground, the grass absorbed a little of my body temperature, and a white spot remains where I just have been before. But how will the device perform on larger distances? To give you a better understanding of how dark it really was during the next test, I placed a regular camera next to the Arctic. As soon as the automatic light of the house turns off, the regular cam is completely lost, while the Arctic still shows my exact position. Unfortunately, as soon as distances get larger and my heat radiation signature gets a little harder to recognize by the sensor, also the background changes color slightly. The bush I'm hiding behind is about 50 meters away now. And despite the color irritations in the background, I think my position is still pretty obvious to see. But I actually would have wished for a little bit more accuracy in the measurement of temperature differences here. I mean, the human's typical body temperature is at about 37 degrees Celsius. I'm sure nothing in the background of this early spring night scenario was even close to this temperature. You see, it works better the more obvious a hot object is presented in the picture. But this actually misses the point of such a device for me. I want to be able to detect hidden opponents, not only those that run around on the field without any cover. During the daytime test, the Arctic performed similar, although the red heat signatures in the background are spread somewhat differently. When you take a look at this picture without any movement, what do you think? Does the Arctic help you with locating my hiding spot? If you ask me, it still could be helpful to a certain degree, but overall it would be better if the sensor would be less sensitive for the surrounding signals. Maybe a software update could fix this in the future? All the testings were done on firmware version 1.0.9. From the Prowl, I know Nightfox indeed is known for a very productive firmware update policy. Let's see what the future will bring. By the way, please don't expect too much from the video recording resolution on the Arctic. When playing the raw footage on a modern smartphone or computer screen, it's just very blurry. Also, the Arctic is not recording any sound. But as an addition to the actual gameplay, it can still be worth to record the thermal view, as I will show you in the next video chapter. This is how the Arctic looks when you mount it to your Airsoft helmet by using the Wilcox mount replica. On some helmets it can be a little wobbly. Using the two elastic strings with the little hooks on the mount can help here. Aiming with the Arctic on your offside requires a little practice, but after you got used to it, this solution combines both natural and thermal vision. Side note, thermal and NVG devices, which are meant to be mounted on firearms, are not legal to use for Airsoft in Germany. This is why head-mounted gadgets like the Arctic are the go-to solution in our country. For the in-game test, my teammate Danzig and I went to the old settlement in Weze again. There were far more than 100 players on the field that day, so overall it was a little crowdy, but still a lot of fun to start into the new Airsoft season. I'll leave you alone with the footage for a minute and then tell you my thoughts about it.
Wir haben die Oberhand, glaube ich. Das sieht aber auch echt gar nicht.
My personal impression after playing with the Arctic that day was that it was not the best surroundings to use this product. A lot of quickly moving opponents, many rush and push situations, and probably less tactical observation of opponent movements. Also, the direct sunlight heated up the area, making it harder to track the opponents down by thermal vision. For a slower paced milsim game, especially when set in the early morning, later evening or nighttime, I see the Arctic using its full potential. While in the classic Airsoft game day on a Sunday afternoon, it's probably not really necessary.
Ich nehme mal an, das war ein Hit, keine Ahnung. Das war so laut, das war glaube ich.
Although I did not feel a major advantage over my opponents when using the Nighfox Arctic on the last game day, I still think we have a well-made product with a lot of potential here. I really appreciate the Airsoft-oriented features, the intuitive usability and the lightweight construction. Also the very popular battery type and the 2-year warranty are a plus for sure. On the downside, the major issue for me is that the Arctic displays obviously colder areas in almost the same color as living humans sometimes. I don't know if there is a way around this, but if there are more experienced thermal users in the community who know about this, please help me out in the comments. Concerning the neutral points, I listed aspects I cannot really comment on right now. On the field I played, it was not perfect to use, but maybe there are better surroundings. And as I'm not a nighttime player, I did not test the connectivity feature for the Prowl 2 night vision gadget as well. I also don't know the final price of the product, as the Arctic has not been released yet while I'm finalizing this video. In case you would like to give the Arctic a try, you maybe want to save a few bucks when ordering from Nightfox. Just enter the code Rummbolt when checking out and get a 5% discount on your purchase. I will also get a little provision in this case, so any support for the channel is appreciated. Thank you. I hope you found this review a little useful, and maybe see you around my channel again soon. So long, as always, have a good one.